Hey, Sean. This is AJ and Andy from the Small Market Podcast. Thanks a lot for joining us today. We really appreciate it. How are you, man?
I'm doing good. First of all, I just want to say thanks for having me on tonight, and looking forward to the next whatever time zone or whatever it is, and answering whatever questions you may have.
Yeah, absolutely. You're the kind of guest we like having on because you'll talk about anything. You know, that's the precursor that's been given to us, is that you will say whatever is on your mind, and that's exactly what we're looking for. It's funny
you say that. I just had a call with a PBA employee and was kind of talking about some things that I've said on television that I've been in trouble for or reprimanded for, and I can just tell you guys that when I make those comments, like, I have no idea where I'm at or what I'm thinking. There's no pre-script in this book. So I say what's on my mind. I know it's not always 100% right. I know I don't deliver the message right, but I try to get my point across, and I tell the truth, and I speak from the heart.
I mean, now the first one that comes to mind then is obviously Bottlegate. I mean, that was kind of a spur-of-the-moment thing. What was going through your mind then? Can you give us kind of a rundown of that?
Just here's one of those questions, like, we can move on, right? It's been 12 years. He does stuff for the sport and tries to promote the sport the way that he wants to, and I try to promote the sport the way that I want to. And there's so many other bowlers that, end of the day, we're trying to do the right thing for our sport and grow it from the top down at the professional level, amateur level, junior level, and he does his thing. Like I said, I do my thing. A lot of respect for him as an athlete, right? I don't need to be best friend. I have those. He has his. And again, at the end of the day, we're all trying to make the sport better, and we can just move on from there.
Right. Sean, that's honestly a great segue into my next question. What do you feel is the most effective way to grow the sport of bowling? I know you have your own camps. You put on a lot of clinics around the country. What do you personally feel is the best way to grow the sport of bowling?
Yeah, I think the easiest way is by giving back, whether it's coaching events, giving back to scholarship events, just giving some free time at other events that may not need your services, whatever the case is. A long time ago, I've been able to meet a lot of professional athletes in other sports. And one of the things they've always told me is, hey, give back, and find a way to get coaching involved. And that's one of the things our sport struggles with. There's a lot of great coaches out there. There's coaches from the west side all the way to the east side, north side, to the south side. But we just don't have enough of the professional side of it. I look at that like, we always compare ourselves to golf. And, if you go to a golf course, you have a head pro. You have an assistant pro, and you have a superintendent, and those people kind of take care of the course. And if you go to your local bowling center, you have a pro shop operator, but maybe they're not a great pro shop operator. Maybe they're not even a coach. You don't have someone that just gives lessons every single day, and that's something we need to do more of. Your owner of your bowling centers, some don't even know anything about bowlings, right? They just own the center. And they have people that run the center for them, right? Which is a great job. Don't get me wrong. But if you look at a lot of the big chains, managers and GMs, they just run the business. They don't know a slightest thing about oil patterns and wearing good shoes and drilling bowling balls to fit your hands and what all the rules are in our sport. So
I love that you compared it to golf, because I feel I feel that a lot. The local golf courses that we have, the country clubs that we have in our area in the Great Lakes Bay region, and bowling alleys also, they'll say they've got a pro, and it might not necessarily be a guy who's on the PBA tour or a regular on the tour. It might just be a guy that threw a 300 game this one time, which to me is a little silly. Like, okay, if I get good enough and I just throw a 300 game one time, I could be like a local celebrity, which is kind of silly, What do you have to say to that?
Yeah, no, we have 3,000 to 4,000 PBA members across the country, worldwide, and some of them are, most of them are regional warriors, right? They bowl on the weekends in their respective zones, or sometimes they'll travel outside of it to get experience, to bowl better at the Open Championships or the LBC or city and state tournaments. And when they bowl those events, they average 170, 180, 190, sometimes even worse, right? And then they go back home, they average 210, 220, 230, and they're a very good bowler in front of their respective peers on their Wednesday night travel league. Those aren't people that I would be telling people to go get lessons from. They might know a little bit more than the recreational 160, 70 average bowler, right? They have more than 6 balls. They have their own pair of shoes. They know the differences in all the manufacturers and everything else. So, but again, those aren't the ones that you say, hey, can you give me a lesson? Right. You just don't do that. So you're looking for lessons from the top 100, top 130 in the world and everything else.
So, Sean, why is that they can they do so well? Oh,
sorry, lost you.
No, you're fine.
You're good.
Why do you think it is that they do so well in their area, then they travel, and then they're shooting lower scores? Is it just more aggressive oil patterns? Like their home house is just kind of just your average run-of-the-mill oil pattern? Or
yeah, there's so many different things that come into play. Who you bowl with, how the lane breaks down, what the oil pattern is. There's so many variables in our sport that get overlooked. I remember having a Twitter battle with Max Homa, who's now one of the top 10 bowlers or top 10 golfers in the world, about how hard our sport is versus their sport, right? They know where all their hazards are. They know where the water is. They know where the rough is. They know where the trees are. They typically know where their pin placements are every day. The one thing they do battle with that we never do or haven't realistically is the weather, right? Typically it's 65 to 75 degrees inside a bowling center all the time. Now we've bowled some outside events at Six Flags and some special events where they've been pretty challenging, but we don't have those variables that we deal with. So there's so much that goes into the game that people don't realize. The bowling balls are so advanced past what oil patterns are, and the viscosities and RGs and differentials and layouts and two-handeds and one-handeds and all that other kind of things that come into play. So, I know when I drill a ball, I let my ball rep do it. They put the pin above the fingers and they kick the CG out and they say, hey, go through this. And I don't ask any questions. I don't want to know what the RG is. I don't want to know what the differential is. I'm going to throw it down the lane and it's going to tell me if it's good or bad.
Yeah. We didn't give you a proper introduction. This is Sean Rash. He's a PBA professional bowler, a real guy on the tour. And, people understand or know the etiquette in golf and tennis where, look, you gotta, if you're out there at a live event, you gotta shut up and just, there's people that are really, there's athletes out there that are really trying to concentrate. I don't think people necessarily know the etiquette in bowling. I've seen a couple of videos on YouTube with you where like, there's a really silly one, and if you don't want to address it or talk about it, I understand. But I completely sympathize with you, like the snack bar incident, right?
Yeah, this happened. USBC Masters just a couple months ago.
Yeah, or somebody's like ordering at the snack bar, probably very loudly. I'd be pissed off, I mean that.
Yeah, no, I probably overreacted a little bit, just like I have in all the other ones. But that snack bar in particular in Detroit at Thunderbowl has a microphone through their window.
Jesus Christ.
This wasn't just qualifying. This was one of the most important matches of the day, realistically, in that round in the winner's bracket, because whoever won in that winner's bracket only needed to win one more match no matter what to make the show. So I was bowling Chris Vi, and it was getting important down the last few frames. And I remember very vividly, I left the 4-9 split the next shot that basically handed the match over, and where if I would have struck there and struck out, it would have forced him to do some things. And, he went on to, he actually lost the next match, and then I beat him again to make the show. But it was one of those, like, he had one more match. Like, if he wins the next one, he's seated on the show. bowling for the 1 and 2 seed, which, 100,000 or 50,000 difference there. And then I had to beat Chris Prather and then Chris Vi to get to the show, which was, thankfully I did, but, a lot of money on the line, a lot of points on the line, a major on the line. And we were the first or second pair towards that. We were only 50 feet away. So in ours, everyone likes to be extremely quiet and, respectful of that. So all the little nuances that they get you. Where when we bowl at Bayside Bowl for the PBA League, it's loud all the time. So those distractions, they're already in the back. You don't hear them. And that's why in golf, right, they tell you to stay quiet. I remember, a quick story, watching a golf event this year in Maine, the Drive for Kids event that Ronnie Russell won, a fellow pro, was playing with Robbie Gould, the NFL kicker from he played in Chicago and the Niners. Who knows where he's going to go next, right? But this group of about 15 at a house was having a house party watching the tournament, and he's on the left side of the fairway by him, and somebody was talking, and it was like someone said, "Hey, you need to be quiet." And Robbie looked over, and he's like, "You don't have to be quiet. I kick in front of 50, 60,000 people all the time." So he's used to it. But if that would have been an amateur or some other kind of person, you never know what might have happened. And unfortunately, it's happened to me quite a bit on television. And, I've always wanted to put on a good show on television. And it's probably one of the reasons I've lost more than I've won is I focused on being an entertainer and everything else instead of the outcome and going through the process and trying to be a really good bowler that day and let the outcome be the entertainment part. So I went, like I said, I've lost a lot of shows because of that. And a lot of little distractions have cost me a lot of titles and a lot of money, but I put it in the back of learning and growing from it, and hopefully next time it won't get me, whatever that next time may be.
Now you say that you've lost a lot, but you've also won quite a bit. 17 titles, 2 majors. You're the first person to bowl multiple 300 games on television. You've had quite a career already. What more are you looking to accomplish at this point in your career, would you say?
Yeah,
is there
that's
something?
A great question. Yeah, great question. Honestly, I just want to be healthy. Battling a serious back injury right now. It's called disc degenerative disease. I've got a couple bulging discs, a couple tears, arthritis, a pinched nerve, and God knows what else is inside there right now. So sitting upright like this with you guys right now is a good thing. I don't feel a whole lot of pain right now, even which is even better. But I've been on all kinds of medicine to stay pain free. I've had injections to get rid of some pain, to eliminate some of the nerve damage that's going on. And there's just so many more steps to go. So, and most likely I'll have to have back surgery at some point. But I was just telling someone the other day that the biggest thing for me is I want to just be able to pick up my kids. I want to be able to run up and down the street with them, take them to school, sit and watch a show, take them to a sporting event, whatever the case is, and be a good dad and a good husband and do the things that I can do more than anything. And if my career ended tomorrow, I can look back and say I've done a lot. I mean, there's definitely a few things that I wish would have done differently or happened differently. I bowled for every major title. It would have been nice to win them all. I really wanted to get to 20 titles. I still think I can. I had a chance to win 3 times this year. I made the Final Four at the Masters. My partner, Matt Ogle, and I finished second at the doubles. A missed spare in the 10th cost us an opportunity. And then my Lucy Binode partner, Stephanie Savala, and I were leading with 4 games to go. And a certain lane just blew up on us, and we bowled pretty bad for a few frames, and it literally changed the whole momentum of 4 games to go. So, like I said, I want to be healthy more than anything. We're going to try to get through the rest of this year with one more event in Sweden and a bunch of clinics and events over the next 2 months. I'm taking the entire month of December off to rest, kind of like I have the last 3 weeks. Just don't want to bowl. Just want to be a family guy right now and promote the sport through social media and any other way I can.
Yeah. Now, You mentioned the clinics and stuff. You want to talk a little bit about that? I know you got one here in Michigan with our mutual friend Matt Dickinson was telling us about on November 4th. But then you had mentioned there's possibly other stops in Michigan as well. Did you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, no. So I'm leaving for Europe next week, the 5th, and I go and bowl in Sweden. After that, I go to the UK, and we do 2 events in London. One for our and one for the locals. Then we'll fly to Germany and do another event at the Spangdahlem Air Force Base. So a second military event, and 2 more for locals in Stuttgart and Ludwigshafen or something like that. I don't even know if I never say it right. Come home and I fly straight to Maine. We're doing the event in Maine, right in front of the PBA League. I'm using 12 different professionals, one from each of the PBA League teams, which is pretty special. It's going to be an amazing event. Then in October, I fly out to Travis Air Force Base and do something for the military there. Then the first weekend in November, we're going to be in Michigan. Right now, we're looking at doing something on Friday, the 3rd. The location, I won't announce yet because she hasn't committed 100%, but I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. Saturday, we're going to be there at Bowling Ionia, the bowling center in Ionia. There's 6 of us going to be there, myself, Wes Malott, AJ Johnson, Chris Prather, Tom Smallwood, and Andrew Anderson. And then we just committed and finalized the deal to do something on Sunday at Thunderbowl with Vicky and the Strobel family, those 6 pros that I just announced. And then we're going to add Matt Ogle, EJ Tackett, Danielle McCune, and Stephanie Johnson. I'm sorry. Nation's her maiden name. So there's going to be 10 of us on that Sunday. And then I'm doing something else in Arizona in October. And then we're going out to Colorado in November as well. And also back to San Diego for another one with Missy Parkins. So pretty busy. I got about 15 events left this season with multiple pros from multiple brands and both men and women, some of the best in the world.
So what can someone that's going to one of these clinics, what can they expect if they sign up for that? How does that kind of all work? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people that'll sign up. How do they get one-on-one time? How does that all play out, I guess?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you pay a price to show up, right? It's kind of like going to a golf lesson. You're going to get a chance to work with myself or any of those other pros that I mentioned. I've probably missed a couple pros that I'm using, but you get 5, 10, 15 minutes per pro in your respective couple-hour time frames. We rotate throughout the day. There's a 3-game pro-am where you get to compete and bowl alongside the pros. There's gifts and giveaways. There's things to win for Bowling Good. There's jerseys to buy. There's T-shirts to buy as merchandise. There's just so many little things that go into it, right? Mm-hmm. Some events are 3-4 hours long. Some events are 7 or 8 hours long. It just depends on how many different types of clinics we have or pro-ams and how many bodies we see and how big the facility is as well. So, with Bowling Ionia, I want to say it's 24 lanes, Thunderbowl's 75, 80 lanes. You can put more people in that building in one period compared to the other one, right? So, we're going to do 2 different events, clinics at Bowling Ionia and then a 3-game pro-am that night. And just, be able to mingle, pictures, autographs, and all kinds of different things.
Now, when you're instructing, kind of get into that side of it, I use myself for an example. I'm one of your 160 average guys, just kind of goes out there on a Monday night league and has some fun. But I was always taught growing up, I'm probably one mark to the right of center, and I just kind of throw I let the ball do the work, just nice, easy throw, kind of hooks in. But I got some friends that they're throwing cross alley. They're standing on the left side, throwing it cross alley, and it's snapping in, and I'm thinking to myself, if I tried cranking it that hard, I don't know where I'm going to put that ball. Probably in the gutter on the right side or on the next lane over. Yeah. What do you recommend? Like, where do you start when you're teaching people, I guess?
Well, the biggest thing is understanding what you can do and what you can't do, right? Everybody's body's different. So, that's the greatest thing about our sport that I say is, you can be right-handed, you can be left-handed, you can be short, you can be tall, you can be skinny, you can be bigger, you can be male, you can be female. Doesn't matter what your race is, doesn't matter what your color your hair is. We're trying to teach you how to bowl. We're teaching you to have fun. We're teaching you fundamentals and having a good time, right? The old Biff saying, bowling is fun, from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And then understanding what you can and can't do, right? Mm-hmm. Based on your body type. Women do things different than men because of their body, how they can release it. Now, there's some women that hook it more than guys because of their hand motion and how they torque and their hips and move and everything else. And so just understanding what you physically can and can't do. And so that's what some of the coaches teach, right, is, standing correctly, bending your knees a little bit, being in an athlete position, following through towards your target, your left hand for balance and stability, keeping your trail leg on the ground, whether it's your right or your left, depending on what hand you throw it with, keeping your head above your knees and your hips. Your head becomes your center of gravity. Once your head leans, your body leans with it. So there's so many little things that you can teach somebody in an instant, 3 or 4 things real quick. And then just try to train your body to do the things over and over, right? And some of the toughest things is telling someone, hey, you got 4 things to work on. You can't work on all 4 at once. You got to do it in individual moments, right? So focus on this thing for 5, 10, 15 shots. And then just try focusing on number 2 for the same amount of shots. And then number 3 and number 4. You're at 3, 4 games of bowling already. You're going to be pretty tired. And then, hey, you need to do it again tomorrow and the day after and the day after and the day after. And it takes a lot of shots for your body to take over.
Yeah, creating, I guess, like muscle memory, probably, in a sense.
Right.
Sean, I want to go back to, you were talking about how you got a phone call from the PBA and they're trying to rein you in a little bit. I would think that the PBA wants or needs attitude in their sport, and they need a little bit of controversy or conflict. Those are the kinds of things that tell stories. How do they try to rein you in? How do they dare even say, all right, you can't say this or you can't do that?
Yeah, no. Funny you bring that up. My first TV show ever in West Virginia, our CEO brought the 4 of us on. It was me, Patrick Healy, Mike Scroggins, and Mike Devaney. We were sitting with him and the TV producer, and he looked at us and he said, you guys have a great show. Bowl good. Good luck to all 4 of you. Do whatever the hell you want. And I just, okay. I didn't know what he meant. But say what you want. Be who you are. Don't sugarcoat anything. Don't be fake. And all the advice I gotten from pros was, hey, it's a real quick show. It's 5-10 minutes long. Remember, this is what you're going to be known for, this and that. So, my first couple of shows, everybody loved me. My second show, I kind of called out Danny Wiseman. Everyone thought I was, who's your hometown fan now, because I beat him and we were in Baltimore. I was actually trying to get his fans to be on my side because I needed the love to bowl the final match. And then, so some people took it one way or the other. My third show, I brought my parents out, right? And won in front of them. So I was the loving kid, whatever. And then, fast forward through some other shows, I've become kind of like the bad boy again. And, I honestly don't care. One of the greatest of all time, Pete Weber, his quote, "Who do you think you are? I am," just got introduced to the Seattle Mariners game a couple days ago, right? It's one of the best or worst sayings you can say in our sports ever had. Nothing derogatory about it, right? But how he did it, it's gone viral. People, I say the same thing he does. You love to watch me bowl and you hate to watch me bowl, and you love to see me win and you love to see me lose. Right. Depending on if you're a fan or not a fan, and that's great. And I honestly don't care if you watch me bowl or if you don't.
Yeah.
I have family to support me. I have my true friends that are out there that know who I am. I've got an amazing set of sponsors that understand who I am as a person, what I mean, and everything else.
You're the kind of bowler that I want to come to a live event to see, because you're passionate and because you're animated, and who knows what he's going to do, you know? Tell me, as a fan, what's inexcusable? What's it like besides ordering loudly through a microphone at a snack bar, or just
Yeah, I think you have to determine what kind of person you want to be, right? You're not going to go up to somebody's wife and call her whatever, or scream some obscenity at him why he's on the bowling. There's plenty of respect as people. It's amazing how many dirty messages we get through the year. I've got one. I would say it, but it's probably not appropriate on any voice. But he would never say that to me in my face, right? It's and everyone that listens to this knows who they are, because they come up to you and ask for an autograph too right afterwards, right? So it's pretty, I say, hypocritical, right? But there's plenty of people like that in our sport and all other sports.
Yeah. You're I've just got one or two more.
Yeah.
You're one of the commentators on one of your shows talked about, like, Sean's getting pissed off because he's losing to a lefty right now. Whether or not that was really the narrative or what was really going on, I'm a lefty myself, not a PBA bowler by any means. But what is it that's so egregious or so insulting about losing to a lefty? People
just, that I know what show you're referring to, and people just have no idea what that whole thing was about.
Sure.
I'll never be vindicated for why I went off that day. You all kind of know that, I didn't have the data. I knew to a certain degree, right? Like, I'm no scientist, but I'm pretty smart coming down to things like that. And it's amazing how many text messages and emails I got about that thing and that scenario prior to that from different companies. But we won't go into that many more details, because it's just not worth my breath or your guys' time and breath too. So I got nothing against lefties, right? Nothing against two-handers. I mean, my best friend's two-handed. He has to bowl two-handed because he can't bowl one-handed because of an injury. I think our sport could have done some things different in the past, and they hopefully will in the future. But who am I to decide, right? My job is to get up there on the lane, throw as many great shots as possible, and knock as many as I can down the first time, hopefully make despair, hopefully make cuts, make TV shows, win, and then do all the other things that I do outside of that, which more than likely I'm going to be doing more of in the future because of the injuries I have. But never know. I might be 100% after the surgery that I have and become one of the best in the world again. This was literally the hardest year that I've had on tour. For 15, 16 years, I've been considered one of the top 5, top 10 players in the world, if not the best bowler in the world. So to be 30th in the world this year on the PBA ranking system, sort of say, even though I know I'm better than that, and I think people know I'm better than that, it sucked. But you can't hide injuries, you can't hide father time and all those other things. So we'll just continue to do what I'm doing, and hopefully it continues to bring success to the sport on and off the lanes for me and my family and the sponsors I represent.
Do you guys have a PT on the tour, like a physical therapist, or?
We don't. No, that's something. There's 2 people actually that I've worked with. One in New York, one here in Illinois that I'm actually going to go see this week. Again, that definitely want to be a part of it. It's going to cost $30 to $50,000 to have this person come out on tour, right? And this benefit a lot of people. We just need someone that has the money to put them out. So if you 2 have $50,000 laying aside and want a PT guy out, be great. Because the guy that came from New York out in New Jersey and Delaware, I mean, he worked on 15 to 20 people in 2 weeks. And I mean, it basically got him through the last 2 weeks of the year. So I'd love to give some names away, but they're working on some stuff, and maybe Bolero will help spend some money in a resource that would help us significantly.
Yeah. Okay. Andy, did you have anything else you wanted to ask?
I'm good, Hoffman.
Sean, I could probably talk to you all night, man. You're an open book for sure. Dickinson wasn't lying. as far as he's concerned, you're a first ballot Hall of Famer, and yeah, looking at all your accolades and how you've been doing, I could see that too. Love to have you on the show again sometime. That'd be really, really